In today's video, I'm showing you guys how we're gonna go from this to this within, guess how long? 1 hour. It took me 1 hour to make this skirt. I promise you it's mad quick. If you follow my steps, it's gonna be super simple.
So for this tutorial, you're just gonna need a few items. You're gonna need some scissors. You're gonna need some thread that matches your sweater.
You're gonna need a measuring tape, tailor's chalk, and of course you're gonna need your sweater. Another thing that you can use, which is what I use because I wanted to make this tutorial as simple as possible. I used an old skirt that I had. It's a mini skirt, but this was very helpful because if you want to do this within an hour without having to go through the whole pattern making process, this is the way to go. So the next thing that we have to do, of course, is to measure our split. I'm making mine 9 inches, so the split is pretty much where you're gonna have that shorter part of your skirt, seeing that it's a high-low effect. And then we're gonna measure the length that we want the entire skirt to be on, pretty much the longer side, not the entire skirt, but more like on the longer side. So now this is where we actually go into making the skirt. I folded the sweater in half, as you can see, and then I put the skirt on the bottom part of the sweater and cut all around, leaving 1 inch for seam allowance. Alright, so I held the skirt up to me and realized that I wanted the waist to be a bit smaller because this fabric is a bit more stretchier than the one I used for the skirt. So I just cut off, you could say about 1 inch, maybe a bit smaller. Okay, so now I'm going in with my chalk and I'm marking where I want that 9-inch split to be. And of course, I'm just freestyling the cut. So the next step would be to cut open the sleeves from the bottom seams so that we can do our pleats. So I cut it about 6 inches in width and then just cut it straight across. And then we're gonna use the remaining piece of fabric to do our waistband. We're gonna be making it the same size as the waist for the skirt. While you're sewing on the sewing machine, I recommend that you use a zigzag stitch. It helps the fabric to stretch a lot better so that you won't have your seams bursting out. So the first thing I did on the sewing machine was sewing together the 2 pieces for the pleats. You're gonna sew those 2 ends, the 2 shorter ends together. For the next step, what we're doing, we're sewing together the actual skirt pieces. I recommend that you pin this. So after trying on the skirt, I realized that I wanted to make it a bit smaller, so I went back in on the machine to adjust it. The next thing that we're going to be doing is making our pleats and adding them to the skirt. So what I did, I put the skirt on the inside and then used the fabric that we're using to make the pleats for on the outside so that I can see the pleats while I'm making them. So the side seams for the skirt and the side seams for the pleats, we're gonna put those seams together. So one on the left side, one on the right side, and then we're gonna go in and do our pleats. What I'm doing, I'm pinning my pleats. We're not doing anything permanent as yet because we just wanna see how these pleats are gonna form together. You might not get it the first time of making these pleats. What I had to do, I had to go back in and spread them some more, but you wanna make sure that you have them the same size. They're consistently the same size because you wouldn't wanna have a bigger pleat and then a smaller pleat. It's gonna look weird. You want everything to be pretty uniformed. So once you have your pleats formed, you want to go back into the machine and stitch the pleats to the skirt. Once everything has been stitched together, you're going to go back in and you are going to focus on the waistband. So what we're going to be doing for the waistband, we're going to be stitching the corners together again. Before you attach your waistband to the waist of your skirt, what you would have to do, you would have to pin everything together. Just like how you pin the sides for the pleats, you have to pin the sides for the waistband. To make this as simple as possible, I folded the fabric for the waistband in two, and what I'm doing, I'm just attaching the waistband to the waist of the skirt.
If you guys can actually access elastic, get it for the waistband. I couldn't access it because, of course, of coronavirus. Everyone is using elastic to make masks right now.
But you also can put an elastic band into the skirt. I wish I was able to show you guys this, but as I said, I have no elastic. I couldn't even order it because it's sold out everywhere right now. And of course, our last step would be to hem the skirt. So we're hemming the pleated area of the skirt. And voila, simple. I told you guys this tutorial was extremely simple, super simple. You can do this within an hour. It's extremely simple,